Hello, everybody, and welcome here to some BTS action. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow, and I will be bringing you this best of three between Warriors Gaming and First Departure. Thanks for joining us here today as we move our way through the drafts. We're already seeing these go through relatively quickly here. Not a lot of reserve time being used. Just want to catch you guys up on what's going on. This will be a best of three, as all the games in this bracket are. And in terms of First Departure versus Warriors Gaming, we've got some issues for First Departure roster just because of their national service for the Singaporean team coming in. We do have Insidious C standing in here, and he is the former captain of Insidious Idol. And we've got a little smiley face dude down here in the bottom right. That's a mystery Smurf. We haven't been able to figure out who that is. So it is like a level 3 account, and we're hoping to figure it out. Until we do, I'm going to just call him Happy Feet. As for Warriors Gaming, they have been doing really well so far this bracket. Surprisingly well, to be honest. 6 months ago, they weren't really a thing, even here in the Southeast Asia. And now we've been seeing them quite a bit more do fairly better. We're already going to see them pick up the Doom, a very high metagame pick all across the world, especially as you start to reach the higher tiers of play. He's a hero that rolled through 6.86 into 6.87 extremely effectively, as is Lion. Lich is not a hero that we've seen quite as much since the recent change to his Dark Sacrifice, but he is still a fairly valuable hero. He can still, even with only a level 1, deny about a 1/6 of overall experience in a lane to opponents, and that only goes up as you level. Usually we don't see people, players at this tier leveling more than 2, but that's still about a 1/5 of the overall experience in a lane being converted from your opponent to yourself, which is nothing to shake a stick at. And Clockwork is probably the most surprising pick here. We see a little bit of Clockwork. He is very tanky. He leverages initiation extremely well, but he's not a hero that we've seen a lot at competitive levels of play, and he's also not a hero that we've seen a lot from First Departure. By the way, this is First Departure's first competitive match on 6.87C. So, all of that together should make for some interesting times. Warriors Gaming have played, it looks like 3 or 4, at least 4 actually, 4 or 5 matches on this sub-patch so far. I'm getting no Dota sounds here, so I'm going to try and fix that as well. And I appreciate you guys sitting through as I mungle with some of the production stuff here. It was a interesting run up to this game, and I'm hoping that we're going to get some really good Dota action. So, as we continue to move out here, we're going to see the Vengeful Spirit picked up by Warriors Gaming. That's not a hero that they prioritize very much on this patch. It is, in fact, their first pick of that hero this sub-patch. Now, at the end of 6.86, all the way through 6.86, in fact, Vengeful Spirit was the most picked hero in the patch for the bulk of that patch, and one of the most highly prioritized. It is a hero that Warriors Gaming continued to pick through 6.87. On this sub-patch, they haven't really been prioritizing her, but they are going to give her a role here, giving that vision, that negative armor, the counter-initiation potential of a swap into a Clockwork can be extremely viable as well. Really a lot of reasons that she might be pretty highly valued here. And as you can see, I am rolling solo today. And we're just going to have to go through and make sure that we get as much good Dota action as we possibly can for this best of 3. There we go. So, First Departure, drilling through some of their reserve time here. They're down to about 45 seconds left, and still only on their first stage of the first pick of the second stage, excuse me. Bounty Hunter's going to be the pick. Now, this really gives away an idea that they're probably going to be going for more of a mid-game initiation team fight-based strategy. You don't normally pick up the Bounty Hunter if you are going to go for more of a super late-game strategy, especially alongside something like the Clockwork. In order to make that Bounty Hunter pick really count, you have to leverage early-game kills into track gold. Without that economic advantage, the Bounty Hunter rarely provides very much. In terms of utility, he's rarely the sole component or the major component to early game kills before track, and after you get track, you really do need to make sure that you're getting kills on a regular basis and leveraging that ability for advantage. They really, First Departure, have a lot of initiation, a lot of scouting. They don't have any real serious way to knock down towers. So expect some tower pushers to be coming out here. Maybe something along the lines of a Dragon Knight would be what we could expect. Mirana's going to come out for Warriors Gaming. That works into the Clockwork. Clockwork's cogs kind of make him a big target for the Sacred Arrow. But Mirana also provides quite a bit of utility in terms of her small advantages to push and positioning, but
I speak for the
also
trees.
the Moonlight Shadow initiation and counter initiation. Into the Bounty Hunter, not as big of a deal, but still, if you group up, you get that free smoke-like target and can initiate around that way. Nature's Prophet is going to be that pusher we were looking for. Probably going to see one more coming out here. Now, it's interesting, the Nature's Prophet and the Clockwork coming out together. Typically, one of those heroes, or both of those heroes, would be considered an offlaner. So, and Bounty Hunter's really not very strong in an aggressive tri-lane. Nature's Lich, to be honest. Neither of those heroes particularly effective in that position. So it looks like one of those heroes very likely going to end up going mid. And we'll probably see a farming carry yet to come out. The meta in Southeast Asia is just a boil right now, with the still recent release of 6.87 and then 2 sub-patches, not to mention a lot of how do you do between these local teams. And Phantom Lancer is going to be presumably that carry, although we have actually seen Phantom Lancer rolled mid in Europe a little bit. Into an Ember Spirit, Phantom Lancer could actually do okay mid as well. So, still slightly up in the air where that's going to be. Miracle, that does imply a position 1 Phantom Lancer. That's how I would expect it, but this is still a weird draft. All things said and done for First Departure. Warriors Gaming, a much more typical draft. The only maybe odd thing about it is that normally we're seeing Doom being played in a 4 spot in most contentions around the world. And here we are going to be seeing the Doom instead being run, it looks like, as an offlaner or as a farming carry, depending on where they end up sending that Mirana. So, without further ado, Dota's going to pretend to crash, and we are going to bring you game 1 of First Departure versus WG. Already having some items coming out here. Take a look at that as we run through some of our players. For the dire side, Warriors Gaming, we are going to have Afu taking that Vengeful Spirit. Zaki, I've actually got that stuck up on my screen. Zaki is going to be giving us the finger on the Lion. Nana is going to be running around on the Mirana. Wen is doomed with Doom. And Ajit is burning up on that Ember Spirit here for the Radiant side. That is First Departure. Miracle taking that 1 position Phantom Lancer. Dafa taking Clockwork. We've got Happy Feet taking root on the Nature's Prophet. Lubby is chilling out on the Lich. And Insidious C is scrolling about on that Bounty Hunter. Neither team getting super aggressive here. It does look like a smoke and defensive rotation coming out for WG. And they're just going to wait for anybody to come and give them vision here. Are they actually going to try to break their opponent's high ground? This is a really risky rotation to make because often you'll have heroes hanging out right about here that break that smoke. That's not going to be the case in this particular situation, and they are going to go north instead of south. They're looking to come up behind the Clockwork. Their smoke should expire here. Yep, right about now. They're not going to get much out of this, but they are in a really good position to come down and contest this rune. So if their opponents are going to come in and contest this rune, which it does not look like they will, a Sacred Arrow coming in from the southwest would actually be pretty effective. It's not the direction you would expect it to come. It's cheeky. It probably won't work. They could decide to dive the Clockwork. They did pop their second ward up. here, and they are pinging him out. They realize what's going on. They do have a Sacred Arrow. So Clockwork is not going to expect this. I mean, there's no way, right, that Dafa's base instinct is my secret shop is being swarmed by opponents under smoke. That said, he is under tower. He's got that extra 1 armor. He's fairly tanky here. If Mirana does land an arrow, it does look like they should be able to clean up that kill, but she would have to absolutely grab that arrow, and with enough spare time that the Vengeful Spirit can close the distance and stack up or chain stun with that magic missile. We'll come back to that because it does look like we've been having a few connection problems for Dafa. That might actually work out into the favor of WG. Some aggressive scouting coming out of Insidious. This should also be a warning sign that something is going on in the top room. That Insidious is this deep and has not seen anybody. That in and of itself is something to be wary of. Clockwork coming back in. And all right, everything seems to be good, and we should be getting forward here. All right. The arrow potential. Oh, now's the time to get him right here. The magic missile is going to go out. The arrow to follow up. That will land. Cogs have been leveled. He can't get them out soon enough, though, and that's going to be your first flood. Dafa already going down. That was a dangerous place to go. But once again, there's just not a lot of reason for him to expect people to be there, and especially with the disconnect and everything. You just got to say, well played, WG. An aggressive rotation, a potentially risky rotation, really working out for them in a big, big way. Grabbing that early first blood. And that also goes the way of the Ember Spirit, who is going to be your farming carry here. Meaning Mirana mid. And Doom moving down to the offlane. Question mark. Dafa respawning. Is this a solo? Who's rotating down here? I'm a little confused. It does look like the Nature's Prophet is preparing to jungle. He did level the Treants, and he is moving down that way. We'll have to wait until the unpause to see, folks. And this is welcome to Southeast Asia Dota. I did my tour of duty in Southeast Asia Dota. I was the joint Dota caster for Southeast Asia for quite some time. And used to cast this region an awful lot. I'm not sure I ever found a game in Southeast Asia that did not have at least 6 or 7 minutes of total pausing in it. So just good to see that the old stomping ground has not changed. Yeah, we are going to see this as a miracle mid Phantom Lancer. Okay. As I said in the draft, this is something that we've seen a little bit in Europe. I've never seen it be really very successful, but I have seen it 4 or 5 times. Run by a variety of teams. With the Lich, it should help. He's able to control his equilibrium a little bit better. He's not quite to the stage yet where he's going to be able to contest the Mirana really effectively, and we're actually just seeing Nana destroy Miracle here. And that means that we do have the Nature's Prophet down here in the safe lane. Nature's Prophet up against Doom should be just fine in terms of getting his farm, but might have some difficulty harassing the Doom, especially with the Devour potentially available to knock down some Treants. One thing I will say after this rotation, because it does look like Zaki and Afa want to get another kill here on Dafa. There's going to be the second stun, but the Bounty Hunter's rotating around. Clockwork coming in, trying to deny himself. Maybe not. And he will end up going down to one last click there from the Ember Spirit. Now the Bounty Hunter moving in. He is still... There's the dust. There's the negative armor. And I'm already seeing how WG have just risen through the ranks here. Lovey, unable to help, has to watch chilled from the sidelines as everything goes awry. Yeah, so one thing I will say is that the negative armor on Doombringer, naturally extremely low. You do see that he had to start out with both the shield and the ring of protection. Doom has, I think, the 3rd lowest base armor in the game, and it does make summonable units particularly effective against him for a couple of levels. But because he did build for the offlane, and he does have the availability of armor auras and other variety of auras from the jungle creeps, it really just doesn't end up being that effective of of a zoning technique. Insidious thinking about moving on to Zaki. Zaki does have the Earth Spike. If he turns... Okay. Doesn't turn, doesn't have to. Still level 1 on the Bounty Hunter. For last hits, Phantom Lancer actually managing to come out a little bit ahead here, but he's running low on regen. Only 2 Tangos left, not a lot of mana. We should see the Mirana start to pull ahead. She is pulling ahead in terms of the denies, just ever so slightly. The way that these lanes actually end up breaking down, WG seem to be getting what they want. Now, as they move into the mid game, they are going to need to open up some space for this Ember Spirit, and they need to also make sure that there are no real clean avenues for income for Miracle. Because Phantom Lancer is a hero that has the potential to come back, especially if he does rush out the Boots of Travel, as is extremely common for mid Phantom Lancers. Insidious is going to body block here. That will be successful. The cogs there, not even necessary, but will keep any help from coming in. And Ajit, just going to let it happen. A nice little counter kill here for first departure. They will not go quietly into the night. And now Bounty Hunter realizes that there is vision down up here. He will have to rotate. Rotating in to try and help this Phantom Lancer. Let's see what he's able to get. He does have his Boots of Travel up now. That will help. He is going to move on there as well with the Janata slow. But the harass is just that, just harass. And now, because the creeps, he realizes that there's a sentry ward here in the mid lane. At the very least, he figured that out before it was dangerous or hazardous. He doesn't know exactly where it is, but he does know that it is. Vengeful Spirit is going to rotate down here onto the bottom lane, provide some behind tower vision, and then consider rotating in. Do they have the Sprout? Yeah, he does have the Sprout if he needs it, but it's just too fast. He's already going down by the time T3s come in. That damage even after the Infernal Blade nerf for 687C. It's pretty big, right? Especially into the negative armor and the nuke damage along with a couple right clicks. It's not a lot of heroes at this stage in the game who are going to be able to survive that. One thing that Phantom Lancer does have going for himself in this mid lane is that with illusions occasionally popping up, it does make it more difficult for the Mirana to rotate around and land a solid Sacred Arrow. Happy Feet, after his death, actually rotates up top. I have a hard time believing WG are not fully aware of what's going on here, considering they did just see at least the Nature's Prophet, if not the Bounty Hunter as well. There we go. Yep. There's going to be the dust, and the ganker becomes the ganky. He will end up going down. The cog's not quite enough. Now here we go. Ember Spirit's actually going to continue to move on to Happy Feet. And the Moonlight Shadow will be enough to disengage. Also enough to disengage here in the mid lane. And once again, these illusions just making it difficult for Mirana to get in and maximize the utility of her hero. She's actually falling behind Miracle, which is interesting. I don't know that I've actually seen a Phantom Lancer win lane. I've seen him do okay in lane. But the straight up win is not something that I've seen outside of this region, at least. And as we come back in for this pause, I just want to remind everybody who's just tuning in, we've got Summit 5 SEA, First Departure versus WG, game number 1. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. It's my pleasure to be here bringing you this game stag today. I did just wake up a little while ago, and it's always a great day to wake up directly into some fantastic SEA Dota. Want to thank the boys there from Beyond the Summit for inviting me here to take care of the stream, and all you viewers who are stopping by and saying hello. The way that the items are dropping out, this is something that we really very rarely see outside of SEA and China. These infused raindrops, we just are not seeing them utilized very much in North America and Europe, but they, especially in China, but even here in SEA, have been more popular. And I don't think that it's an issue of there's more nuke damage drafts, because all of these heroes are very popular in Europe, with the exception of Mirana, who's sort of popular in Europe, and Clockwork, who's sort of getting some play. But Just haven't seen a lot. It will end up helping him into some of these stun nukes, but it's not going to help him into the burn damage. And Lubby, standing way too far forward, is going to take that negative damage. One Infernal Blade should be enough, and Wen realizes it. He's going to dive in real deep. There's Infernal Blade, and that is the doom for you. He will drag the creeps out around the side as well. As Insidious comes in, the Nature's Prophet teleporting in as well. There's going to be the Janata slow. There's the Sprout as well. Insidious waiting around the outside. Does get in a couple of extra auto attacks. One Infernal Blade. Doom does not go the way of the Phantom Lancer, which is really what they ideally wanted to see there. But at least they do split the kill. Miracle is going to farm up down here, while Lubby is going to catch up in levels here in the mid lane. Sitting at level 4, doing just fine. So, as I said, mid-game is really going to be where WGs, they need to hit their stride there. They're doing a very good job of it so far, but they absolutely want to ensure that these rotations are not going to be hazardous for them, especially as Miracle proves that he is not afraid to leave lane. He does have brown boots. Oh, and they realize which one, but a very nice doppelwalk, or doppelganger, excuse me, is going to pull Miracle out of safety, or into safety, rather. Did I mention that I just woke up? So, Nana in the mid lane, still doing very well. The Ember Spirit, though, is going to be the tail of the tape here. Sitting at 52 and 12 at 730. This guy is farming up. He's got 3,500 net worth already. He's already got his Boots of Travel and has used them once. Almost got them off cooldown. And meanwhile, the Phantom Lancer out at the mid lane is a solid 1,900 gold away from his. Miracle will be moved on. There's going to be negative armor. They don't seem to be coordinating that. Yeah, they're not going to be able to engage onto that. Afu, a bit too far forward. And now they're actually going to move back onto the Doombringer. There's going to be the slow, the rotation from the Nature's Prophet Treants. I don't think they can, yeah, they can't secure this kill, though. The harass is there. So Nature's Wrath goes through. Nature's Prophet now. They're just rotating people through this mid lane. Like orphans through foster care, man. Anybody who needs levels, yeah, go to the mid lane. The Mirana's not an issue. Duffa going to be moved on again. The Cog's not enough here as the Ember Spirit continues to throw out that burn damage along with the right clicks to double the stun. Duffa is going to actually do what he can. A nice ultimate and rotation from Lubby will save his life. Ajit forced back. A little too slow. Happy Feet wants to move on there. There's going to be the Sprout, and now Zaki is actually going to be the sacrifice. Ember Spirit dropping a Remnant. We'll head up back to base. He is still well farther ahead than any of his opponents in terms of net worth, but can't actually use that net worth for any useful term other than healing up at the fountain right now. And that's becoming an issue. Right? He's got no... it's a very standard build. You go for the Boots of Travel. Does provide a lot more farm, but not if your opponents are willing to apply a ton of pressure. He's going to come up from the south side. Meanwhile, the Cogs are going to be there. Doom onto the Clockwork, and now in the Infernal Blade as well. Clockwork should be going down. He might get denied over there to the side. As we see Ajit moving on to the Nature's Prophet, will burn him down. The Doom does finish off the Clockwork as well. Negative armor going on to Lubby. There's going to be the Hex as well. And that is a triple kill going the way of WG. 2 on the Doom, helping him catch up from that off lane, and it does look like he will be our mech carrier this game. And WG says, if you guys want to group up, that's fine. We'll group up too. And we'll do it way better than you guys do. Knocking down this tower. Doing an effective job of it so far. Forcing out the glyph. And they should be able to just back up with impunity. Absolutely okay. At 10 minutes, Ember Spirit, despite the fact that he's been in 2 team fights, sitting on 65 and 15. So he is very close. He's 17 creeps away from a perfect score in this early game. But once again, remember, the Bounty Hunter rotated up top. The Lich rotated up top. Nature's Prophet rotated up top. Sacred Arrow will be next level farming onto that Catapult. So, yeah. Ajit Doing a very, very good job so far this game. He's going to become a tremendous issue, especially considering the cleave damage that he can provide over top of these Phantom Lancer illusions. Meanwhile, up top, it does look like Dafa is going to go down again. That should be 3 deaths? 4 deaths. Excuse me. Nature's Prophet is throwing out the Nature's Wrath. Big problems here for this Clockwork. Clockwork is not a hero that plays from behind effectively at all. As opposed to most traditional offlaners, Clockwork has no potential to move into the jungle and flash farm. He's got very little potential to even to sit in a lane and safely flash farm, or farm at all, really. He does need, depending on the build, he needs at least 1 core item in order to be truly effective. That's usually going to be your Blade Mail. But some people swear by the Force Staff first. You can do some cheeky cog tricks with a Force Staff, including creating double mana burn, double zap. Dafa has not really been on point with a lot of his cogs, though, so wouldn't necessarily expect that to be the way that he goes. Lubby is going to be moved on. There's going to be the Dust of Appearance as well. The negative armor going out just onto the Bounty Hunter. Meanwhile, that's going to be 1 death. The Lift showing out ultimate will only bounce once. There's going to be the Shuriken, but that also wholly ineffective. Now there's the Moonlight Shadow, a counter Dust coming out from the Radiant side. And this fight's spreading all over. Ajit being pushed out by Miracle. Meanwhile, on the south side, Happy Feet is 1 right click away. There's going to be the Shuriken, the Mechanism coming out. First use from the Doom, and that will save them up. Zaki getting low, but should be okay for now. Miracle wants to dive it. Not quite able to. There it is. Zaki will end up going down. Dafa chasing him for the experience in AoE gold. Doing a good job of it. Now the track on the Doom. He should be in trouble here. He decides to Doom out on Miracle. Ajit is going to come in and try to make anything happen that he can. The damage over time onto Miracle as well. The Mirana coming up from the south side. It does look like Miracle's going to go down. Meanwhile, Insidious going down up here on the north side of the cliff. Now the Treants are chasing out after Afu. Man, this entire game's teamfights have been just a Benny Hill commotion. Dafa doing anything he can. He gets swapped back. He throws down the cogs. He gets stunned out, though, and that should be all she wrote for this little mechanical man. He bought out before he died, though. Not the worst situation for him personally. However, overall, that went heavily in favor of FD. About 600 gold. The respawns there actually making that fight look a little different. And Nature's Prophet is sitting on top of the drums now. Other items are starting to fall out. We've got actually a Dragon Lance coming out from Miracle. Okay. I feel like I'm missing something on that pick. It disassembles, right? Can be disassembled, yeah. So, okay. Seems like he decided that he had to go into some health. He had to go into some basic combat utility. Grab something that can be disassembled and put into different components later. Makes sense-ish. It's not what you normally see, but it does give Miracle some tankiness to actually dive into these fights. And they will be able to knock down a tower. It looks like it will be traded for the bottom tier 1 and about half of the top tier 1. Ajit up here in the top is able to push with impunity. He does have a couple spirits up for extraction. Nature's Prophet teleporting down here to the top lane. Actually, he got a lot more of that tower than he really had any good expectation of. Almost got that entire tower down. Once the tier 1s drop, that is really where WG need to make sure that they're not stalling out. Especially this patch with the 3 armor aura coming out from the towers and the additional up to 25% damage coming out for the tier 2s. Knocking down those tier 2s is increasingly more difficult than it had been in the previous patches. And as such, we actually don't see the tier 2s usually fall between 20 or before 20 or 25 minutes. It's just not very common. And that creates a lot of potential for stalling out teams. When you take this sort of advantage, really moving into the Roche pit so that you can then apply that Aegis onto the tier 2 has been wholly important. The smoke rotation coming up. Moonlight Shadow, because of that TP, they should know that the Moonlight Shadow is out. Nana is going to be there. Meanwhile, the smoke rotation down here in the bottom, Finger is going to go out onto Dafa. And Insidious is going to get away. Miracle still hiding out up here. Meanwhile, Lubby will end up going down. Once again, everybody just spread out all over the place. And First Departure continuing to have some trouble here. They need to try engaging on their towers where they have this advantage, this innate advantage, opening up space for the Phantom Lancer, who is still doing nothing up here. Does not have a TP. Almost has enough for his boots, but almost is not it. And he continues to sit up there. Yeah. That was a strange teleport in. And Clockwork will go down. Now Insidious probably on the trouble as well. He will be doomed, so he cannot go invisible. Phantom Lancer coming down from the north side. They didn't expect that. Trouble is, he really just can't do anything. With a Dragon Lance and Brown Boots, he's just not that scary. Now he will be chased down by Ajit. Lubby trying to help out, throwing out the slow, throwing out the ice armor as well, but the damage over time is pretty effective here. Phantom Lancer will get away, but just barely. Arrow will miss, just narrowly. And Miracle continues to be pushed around here in this game. He's forced to bop back and forth between these kids. Not really finding any good avenues for farm, and it hurts him a lot more than it looks like on paper that he was not farming. He was just simply sitting up in the woods for what had to be 120 seconds. That is a lot of missed opportunities. Zaki will be tracked. He will be moved on here, and the Nature's Prophet coming in. A nice stun, though. Clockwork coming in will miss Zaki. The Hex going out, and now the Sacred Arrow, and he's going to get away. Teleport in with the mechanism just to be absolutely certain. That's got to hurt if you're First Departure. And the whole time, Ember Spirit down here does have a Battle Fury and Boots of Travel up now. Miracle finally got his Boots of Travel up, but he is a whole core item behind this Ember Spirit in terms of actualized core items, because that Dragon Lance is not where he wants to end up. That is a middle ground bouncing point for him with certainty. And Zaki is tracked and chasing down after this bounty hunter. So the way that I feel WG are going to be able to try and hold down their opponents here is just to continue to apply pressure in the jungle, get a pick, take Roche, use that Aegis, apply pressure on the tier 2, right? That is your standard advantage mechanism here. We are going to see an Ags Mirana coming out here. Not that all that surprising. We've seen that quite a bit in a couple of regions, especially around the mid tiers of play for professional players. So the way that First Departure need to bounce themselves back into this game is just try to open up as much space as possible for the Phantom Lancer, give him opportunity, ample opportunity to catch up, get the items that he actually wants. Clockwork still not sitting on top of a Blade Mail here. Still struggling. That is trouble. And remember what I said during the draft, right? They need to leverage lots of kills in the mid game with this bounty hunter. The bounty hunter becomes effectively useless, right? Taking a look at the bounty hunter overall, he's died 5 times. He's gotten 1 kill and 4 assists. Most of those assists were not track kills. And the overall impact is obvious. I mean, not only is WG ahead in net worth just based out of towers alone, right? They do have a 1 tower advantage over their opponents, but they are wildly out farming their opponents as well. Here we go. There's going to be this Doom, and that's just a dead Nature's Prophet. There's no way around that. They're just going to leave him to die on his own. How sad. What a sad way to go. Bounty Hunter going to throw out the track, going to move down here as well. As the Clockwork coming in, there's going to be the teleport in from the Phantom Lancer as well. They're going to be moving now. However, up on the north side, Ajit managed to grab a kill and is now moving down. The Lich Ult not getting very lucky on his bounces, hitting a lot of creeps, managed to hit 2 or 3 heroes. And now Nana moving on to Miracle, forcing Miracle back. This should be a tower siege with 3 heroes down. Stun will miss. The leap is there. But there is just no vision. And, yeah, they're just going to be able to continue to roll on through these towers pretty effectively. Unless First Departure start forcing out engagements that are more defensive, more favorable, buy Miracle time to farm out elsewhere. He is now moving into his Diffusal Blade, but is it too little too late with Yasha already up on the Ember Spirit? Ember is just plain going to be able to faster than the Phantom Lancer. Even with both of them having Travs, Ember Spirit just farms faster, does more by a slight margin, but he also got a big head start. Remember, he had to get close to perfect game in terms of CSing earlier on. He also is doing more damage thanks to the Command Aura, or I think it's Vengeance Aura in Dota 2. Dota 1 coming out. Of the Vengeful Spirit, the negative armor that goes out as well. Also bear in mind that for Phantom Lancer, the splash damage is really effective at getting rid of illusions. Illusions do not benefit from raw armor increases. They only benefit from armor based in agility. And moreover, the cleave damage that comes out of the Battle Fury is not blocked by armor anyway. So those illusions that already take increased damage, they don't have effectively really any way to deal with cleave. They just fall extremely quickly. Not only to the multiple attacks that chew through their relatively small armor, but also through the overall cleave damage that is not blocked whatsoever. And I don't love that WG are giving time for their opponents to farm here. But Mirana does now have the Blink Dagger and Ags up. Lion, of course, sitting on that Blink Dagger as well. A full Guardian Greaves up on Doom. It seems like they have everything they're going to have for a while. Unless they're trying to wait for Venge to get up what very well could be. Well, no, Doom got a Vlad, so Venge just sitting on casual Mask of Death. Morbid Mask. Nature's Prophet, in the meantime, has finished up the Orchid. The Diffusal Blade was finished up on the Phantom Lancer as well. That Diffusal Blade will be pretty effective here in terms of just drilling through some of their opponents, getting that damage out. Doom has pretty high armor because he built Vlad's Guardian Greaves, but a lot of these heroes are sitting on relatively low armor. I lied. The armor auras seem to be doing enough. I wouldn't expect Venge to have 17 armor at 23 minutes. That seems high to me. What's her agility game? Yeah, 3.3, but still seems a little high to me. Either way. Miracle, just doing miracle things. As we've really seen a break in the action, Roche will be uncontested here in favor of WG. I'm surprised that they were able to go in there and take that so uncontested with Lich ult up, with decent choke point defense for First Departure, and everybody alive. I really thought that they would have to take a pick before they did that. Just because, I mean, if there's going to be a fight that First Departure can take from behind, a fight in the Roche Pit, with Cogs down, with Nature's Wrath going out, with all of the tracks, Roche Pit is, in general, going to be a pretty favorable position for them to try and take a fight. Now instead they're going to try to take it around, maybe not. They might not even try to defend this. I'm not sure that they can. Phantom Lancer still up in the top lane. Yeah, and he's not coming back. They are just going to give this up. And they might be giving up more. As there goes the dust. The stun will miss. Nana trying to move on to Insidious, who is dusted up, and they will pull away before diving into a tier 2. There's a gem on the Mirana as well. Some Tome of Knowledge is being bought out sort of late here for the Lich. Seems like those could have been bought out quite a bit earlier. Phantom Lancer will split push down to tier 2 in the top lane, but meanwhile they are losing a tier 3 here in the mid. I really like that WG aren't screwing around. They're not faffing about. They're going to force down that tower and immediately Just back up. Take as much advantage out of this Aegis as they can. As much advantage out of their economic surplus as they possibly can. And just look at this Mirana farm out these streams. This Ags pickup really effective against mass summonable strategies. And Nature's Prophet, unfortunately for him, I don't think we've seen a single effective Orchid. And remember, you want to rush out that Orchid so that you can get it before the Mantis styles up on the Ember Spirit. You can stop him from being able to actually escape. And we didn't really see that at all before the Mantis style came out. So yeah, the Orchid will be nice onto a handful of these heroes. It might be nice onto the Lion in some of these fights. It might be nice onto the Doom if you get it out before Doom goes up, and then before the ult is spent, that is. And then manage to kill the Doom before he's able to use that ult, which is truly very effective in fights. And it could be useful against the Mirana, but usually she's going to open the fight with a Sacred Arrow, and silencing her is just going to be a mechanism to stop her from escaping. If you're using it in that way, you've probably already won the fight anyway. Wow, Mirana's going all in on this AoE push strategy. I mean, look, she's got a straight-up bottom Mjolnir just now. She's got the Ags. Phantom Lancer is going to move in behind here. There's going to be the swap in. He moved in pretty deep. Moonlight Shadow will be there. The blink away from the line, and there is not vision for the Radiant side. Meanwhile, Doom is going to be spent. Down here in the river, Da Fa is caught on the wrong side of the tracks. And he will go down to a watery grave. Now Miracle being moved on here. Sacred Arrow is going to land on Insidious. Can they get the Phantom Lancer? Negative armor on Insidious will be enough. Phantom Lancer trying to get away. Will walk around the outside of that creep. Knocking down a couple trees so that his opponents can follow. And Ember Spirit should... Oh, wow. One right click away. Less than a right click away from securing that kill on the Phantom Lancer. But even so, I mean, we're 26-7 in favor of WG. This has just been an absolutely devastating performance from them. They got off to a pretty good start, and they have not let go of the reins, other than for, you can actually see right here, there was like 3 or 4 minutes where they let go of the reins in order to farm up a bit. It seemed like a weird lull at the time, but First Departure not maximizing it. Oh, and they guessed right. They do manage to grab the correct Phantom Lancer with that Hex. And we'll immediately move on it. Flying a pretty good hero into the Phantom Lancer for a handful of reasons. Obviously, he's got a great deal of illusion instant clear so that you can guess and try to find the right Phantom Lancer pretty effectively between the Mana Drain and the Hex. They're going to go ahead and grab a Raxia. I'm not sure what that swap was even intending. That's probably a GG call. There's nobody to follow up on that swap. So it was... Would you rather stand over here while your team kills me? Sure. Stun will land. Da Fa just letting it. Yeah, and this has got to be tilting. Hopefully, First Departure going to be able to come into the next game a plum. Yeah, there's the GG call. Nothing surprising about that. 29 minutes, a little bit faster than our average game. Just a really well-executed strategy from WG. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in here to Beyond the Summit. My name is Gorgon, TheWonderCow. It's my pleasure to be here casting for you this morning. And we're going to bring you a second game and possibly then a third game, depending on how First Departure wake up into their afternoon. And that's about all I've got for you guys. Please do stick around and hang out for game number 2. Thanks for tuning in.